Growing up, my friend and I, we always ate sausage and mushroom pizzas. And then I met this young lady at Pizza Hut, and she didn't eat sausage on her pizza. And that's how it all started. And so she invited, or her only day off was Saturday, and she invited me to church. And so I went with her, and then I heard this Lucifer guy in the sermon, and I'm like, well, who's Lucifer? So it's kind of scary, but sausage and Lucifer kind of introduced me to Christianity. And I started asking questions, and I said, what else is in the Bible that I don't know? And I fell in love.
Well, you're right, it was just a little bit, and I wasn't attempting to lead him to Christ. It was that sort of place in life where, I had to go to church anyway, and we wanted to be together, so I invited him. But that's how God uses initial moments like that. I did not know Christ growing up as on a personal level. So to watch this person change, to come from one extreme to another and watch him grow, it was just really amazing to see that God really was real, to see him working the way that he was.
I always thought being a Christian is that you mentally believed in Jesus, and I didn't understand the relationship part of it. And it just became so overwhelming to me, and then the further I went along, the greater it got. I was sitting in Sabbath school with Natalie's mother, and I don't know why, but this lady was teaching Sabbath school, and I said out loud, I want her to give me Bible studies. And so we set it up, and we studied for probably 2 years, and I wanted to make a stand for God.
Well, we find this a little comical and ironic because it was exactly 30 years ago, early in our marriage, and he came home saying, I feel strongly called by the Lord to work for him directly. And the first words out of my mouth were, I could never be a pastor's wife.
Well, I was working at IBM, and Natalie was working at a law firm in New York, and I just felt very impressed that I needed to work for the church, and couldn't figure out what he would want me to do. And both my parents are teachers, and I've always loved young people, and so I pursued education. Teenagers crave God if it's packaged right, and they want a personal relationship with God. They want it to be real, and sometimes we don't present it as real. We present it as rules and regulations, and it was just fun to see God do miracles in these young people's lives. I got the opportunity to give Bible studies. I probably had a Bible study every year I was teaching, and it was just fun to see kids grow and the light bulb to turn on, and they finally got it, and it was fun to see. And then my job was to get out of the way and let them run, because God wanted to use them in powerful ways.
We were young ourselves. I felt like we were kids, especially starting out in Greater New York Academy. We lived in northern Westchester County, outside the city, and these kids, they grew up in the city. They're in the heart of Astoria, Queens, where terrible things are going on, and they're taking the subway just to go to school. They would actually take the train and come up to our house or apartment we were renting at the time for the weekends, and they would just camp out in our living room just to get out of the city, just to be in a safe, happy place, and we loved it. It was just fun.
I was sitting in my office at Georgia-Cumberland Academy, minding my own business, and the phone rang, and on the other line was Victor Maddox. And he said, would you consider being a pastor at Collegedale Community Church? And my response is I laughed out loud. Probably not the response they were looking for, but it was my honest response. I got my religion degree to teach Bible, never to be a pastor. It was never something that I wanted to do. And we always have a deal with God that for my deal is that Natalie and Shelby will always be okay with going, and that's how we started. And both Natalie and Shelby were willing to go, and we came. Yeah, when I took 7 years, maybe 10 years off for Shelby's childhood, I didn't want to miss that. In church work, kind of miss a lot of that sometimes. So when I came here, they asked me to be finance chair, and I was a member here and absolutely loved this church. When we moved down here, her mother said, you can join any church you want, and so we planned on visiting all the different churches in this area, and we came here first, and we never went to another one. I didn't do a ton of public speaking. Everybody's like, well, it's the same thing as classroom teaching. They're very different things. And I'm very comfortable in the classroom. I'm still uncomfortable somewhat on the pulpit, but the Lord is blessed. And so I was just thinking, Lord, I'm not qualified for this. I don't have the skills for this. And unfortunately, he always puts me in those positions, so I have no choice but to rely on him because I can't do the things he's asked me to do. The biggest shock to me, I guess, from education ministry to pastoral ministry is I really didn't realize how bad people were hurting. And God put me in positions to counsel with people and gave me the words to say, or I would have a workshop and it would be on a particular topic, and we'd come home and the very next day I'd get a call for counseling on that topic. So as God was, just in time. And I love preaching. It's nerve-wracking, but it's fun to see people, again, see the light bulb go on for people, because I want people to experience what I experienced. I love leading people who really don't know God. They have no understanding of God. They believe in Him, but that's all it is. And to share with them Scripture, and they get to know who Jesus is, and I get to watch God do His miracle. So that's probably why I get to see God do miracles, and for me that's fun. He uses me as a mouthpiece occasionally, and I get to watch Him do His thing. Well, Natalie and I both want to say thank you for allowing us to be pastors here, working in this church. The congregation has been very accepting, very kind, and it's just a thrill to be here. And I get the opportunity to minister here, and it's a dream come true.
For me, it's a little more personal. Like, that old saying, your friends are the family you get to pick. I love the family here. I know it's a big church. I think we have at least 1,700 members. I haven't met everybody. I don't know everybody well, but I love them. They're just great. The people that I do know, the people that I look forward to knowing, it's just a great family. It's the family I get to pick.
I felt called, and I've seen God work in my life and do amazing miracles. And I guess to me, ordination is humanity recognizing, people recognizing that, yeah, he has been called by God.